More than 30,000 children in this country are waiting for forever families. We're continuing the conversation with Mike Berry about his adoption and foster journey. You know, we talk about these kids that are waiting for a family that will take them in. You've taken in, as we said, 8 kids adopted, 23 fostered. You also dealt with a lot of trauma when you took them in, though. None of your own making, just the situations that they came from. How does that manifest then as you're trying to parent? How do you see that?
Well, it manifests itself initially through behavior. A lot of what I would deem out of control behavior. A lot of chaos. The term that we use in the foster adoptive community is dysregulation. And that's dysregulation with the child, but then also dysregulation throughout the home, but then also it brings about secondary trauma, which is what either biological children or children permanently a part of your home will experience because of the behavior of another of the child you're caring for.
So is that oppositional behavior, like yelling at you, pushing you away, violence potentially against you or your kids?
Yeah, all of the
running
above.
away,
Yeah.
run-ins with the police. You've had the police show up at your door many times.
We have, yes. Unfortunately, we know in the town we used to live in, we knew the officers by first name, which
no.
it's like that's not something you want to claim, you know. But
Yeah, exactly.
that's a reality. So any foster or adoptive parent listening is probably nodding right, or watching is probably nodding right now because they've experienced that. So it's all of the above. It's oppositional defiance. It's defiant would probably be the number one thing. But then it can be aggression. It can be inability to attach in a healthy way. So, you know, I'm your forever father, and Kristen's your forever mommy, but that child continues to pursue either toxic relationships or they cannot attach in a healthy manner to us as their forever parents. So
because they don't believe you're going to be there.
Exactly, yeah. So trauma, and unfortunately, a lot of parents enter this journey and they don't realize that that's how trauma manifests itself. That's how it displays itself. Because we think that in terms of trauma, we think, you know, loss of a loved one or a car accident or, you know, home catches on fire or loss of a job, you know, and those are all trauma. That's all trauma. But when you're talking about a child who's come from abuse or neglect or has been exposed to substance prenatal, you know, it comes out in behaviors and aggression and defiance and all the above.
You give so many tips in your book, Confessions of an Adoptive Parent, about how to deal with these kinds of things. You talk about acceptance, like, so stop kicking against it, saying, hi, I wish this wasn't true.
Yeah.
This is what it is, accept it. But also, you say there is a way that as a parent you can help heal that trauma. So what are some ways that parents can help?
Yeah, the first thing that I would say is that, and we talk about this a lot in our trauma-informed coaching that we do, we talk about the importance of connection before correction. Because we have, we tend to, especially those of us who grew up in traditional households, we tend to default to traditional parenting techniques. So timeout, grounding, you know, unfortunately, and we don't advocate for this, but it could be spanking or, you know, anything like related to that. But those would all fall under traditional parenting techniques. But when you're dealing with a child who's come from trauma, those don't work. They don't, because the child already has a disconnect in their brain. They're operating, they're behaving out of a place of survival because of what they've gone through. They've gone through such chronic trauma that they've defaulted to that. So the important thing for parents to understand is that connection always needs to lead out. So before you default to, you know, what's wrong with you? Why are you doing that? First approach the child with, how can I help you? Or help me understand. So you're building a connection, you're building a bridge to the child. The child already looks at you as you're disconnected from me. You don't understand me. So to the best of your ability, build that bridge.
That's so good. Well, we're running out of time, just 30 seconds left, but tell me, all these challenges we've just talked about foster adopting, yet at the same time, 30,000 kids are waiting for that forever family.
Yes.
Why should people still consider adoption or fostering, even when it's hard?
Well, you know, because children deserve forever families. Children who may not be able to be reunited with their birth families, their biological families, they need forever homes. And we have lots of resources. We have lots of abilities. And I'm not saying that foster care and adoption is for everybody, but I think everybody can do something. And that may be a calling to foster or adopt, but that also may be a calling to wrap yourself and your resources around those who are doing that. And the short answer there is that children need forever homes. Children need hope. Children need forever mommy and daddy.
That is so true. I hope some of you are inspired to consider adoption, fostering for the 30,000 kids waiting for a forever family in Canada. The book is Confessions of an Adoptive Parent by Mike Berry. That is available on our e-store. As well, they can go to your blog, right? confessionsofan.adoptiveparent.com, and you have tons of information there for people who are in it or interested in going into it.
Yes,
Such
that's
a worthy
correct.
cause. Thank you so much for coming to share your story.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
We'll be right back.